Amari, they say it's never as bad as it seems, never as good as it seems. What wasn't as bad as it seemed on Sunday once you kind of went back and watched the film? And what maybe, is there things you guys still need to improve on that maybe seemed in the moment to be good?
Yeah, I mean, there's always good, bad, and ugly. Um, we definitely, when we executed, we made some plays. When we didn't execute, we didn't make plays. Obviously, that's the standard notion of why offenses struggle versus why they don't. But it was what was true when I looked at the film. So what was the second part of the question again?
That's sort of it.
Yeah.
So, Amari, there felt like there's so many unknowns about the new offensive system. Do you feel like you learned a lot about it in week one and can take that necessary jump in week two?
I definitely feel we could take a necessary jump. The Cowboys were a good team. They've been a good team for a while, like I said before. They just play better than us. I don't think it's more so about the play calling. When I looked at the film, we didn't do a good job executing. We didn't have the urgency necessary to be a successful offense. So, hopefully this week we'll pick it up. We got practice today. We're going to go out there and practice hard and grind. Um, you know, we got to do a couple things right this week. Namely at the receiver room, winning our one-on-one matchups, and that's what we're looking to do.
Is that how you think you can help protect Deshaun better? Is you guys winning quicker off the line of scrimmage?
Um, 100%. I mean, that's always in the best interest of the quarterback. The faster the receivers win, because those guys on the defensive line, they get paid. You know what I mean? They get paid to get to the quarterback. So obviously, the faster he can get it out, the better it'll be for him. Yeah.
Amari, is Deshaun's off the field situation presenting any kind of distraction to you guys in the locker room, or how is that sort of playing out?
Yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't say so. I mean, in life we all go through things. Like a old head veteran told me in my rookie year. Whatever you're going through, off the field, once you cross those lines out there, you just leave it at home. You focus on football. So I think the veterans on this team do a pretty good job at doing that.
You mentioned showing more urgency.
Say that again. Okay.
You mentioned showing more urgency this week as a team. Bubba said that to us earlier. Has that been the theme of this week? Is that the message Stefanski's going to put forth this week?
Not necessarily. It's just something that I've seen. We got to be ready to play. We got to go out there and, the theme of the offense is to go out there and score points, every drive. And, we didn't do that. So we need more urgency in that regard. Yeah.
Do you think, Amari, that it was so obvious that you guys did not play in the preseason together and not allowed you in practice time? What do you think effect that had in that Dallas game?
I mean, it's all about perspective. I mean, it's easy to, Monday morning quarterback that line you just mentioned. At the same time, if we went out there and won the game, you probably would be saying because we didn't play and things like that, we were well rested and we were, ready to play for the game. So it's all about perspective. I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with how we performed.
Amari, I think you guys talk about so much with this offense being new. Is it possible then to make a big jump from week one to week two for you guys, because it is a new system and you guys didn't have a bunch of time together in the preseason? Is it possible to make a big jump?
Yeah, I mean, it's really any given Sunday when it comes to the NFL. We're playing a new opponent. We're more motivated, obviously, because of the loss in week one. So definitely it's possible, 100%.
How do you not turn urgency into pressing and kind of trying to press this next game against Jaguars?
When you lose your first game, teams tend to overreact. Stefanski told us in a team meeting that we just need to react properly. So that's how I would answer that.
Amari, obviously with this new offense, we've heard a lot just about the changes, how things are going to be different. One of those has been a lot of pre-snap motion, which I think we saw a lot of in training camp. But you guys were one of the lowest running motion teams in week one. Just were you guys anticipating as a receiver, especially since that kind of directly impacts you guys, to have more motion?
Honestly, I don't worry about that. The last thing I worry about as a wide receiver is motions and counting the amount of motions we did. So it's hard for me to even answer that question. That's the last thing I'm thinking about. So I don't know.
Sean's taking a national kind of meeting for this game. The narrative seems to be that he's, whatever, broken, not good, or whatever it is. My question to you is, what makes you still feel that that's not the case, that he's a good quarterback and he's going to lead this team the way you guys know him?
Yeah, because I know him. When he first got here, I didn't really know him. I just knew of him. Now I know him. I know his personality. I know his standard. You know what I mean? He's his biggest critic. He's a great player. You know what I mean? The game comes with ebbs and flows. It comes with ups and downs. Last week wasn't a good week for none of us. And that's just part of the game. Like I just mentioned earlier, people tend to overreact. The media sensationalizes things, especially a star quarterback of any team. So it's just an overreaction. But that's the great thing about this game. You get another week to go out there and prove yourself. So that's what we're all looking forward to.
Amari, when people talk about Jacksonville's defense, they talk about their guys up front. Just what do you see on the back end with that secondary and the challenges they present to you as a receiver?
Yeah, I mean, they got a good secondary. They got one guy, cornerback, who's hurt. I'm not sure if he's playing this week, but he's a starter. They got Darby, a 10-year vet, who's a great player, who's been around for a long time, so he understands the position, savvy, understands what they're trying to do. And they got some guys in the back end that are pretty good as well. So, I mean, this is every week in the NFL. You're going to always have a challenge in front of you. Just got to go out there and be the best team.
Kevin said David Njoku's not going to play this week. So how does that affect you guys offensively, and how do you pick up that slack? Because it's such a big play?
Yeah, he's a very instrumental part of what we're trying to do on the offensive side of the ball. He's definitely one of the guys who we're trying to get the ball to. So, obviously it's the next man up mentality, and that goes for anybody at any position. So, it could be a good thing. It gives another guy an opportunity to step up. But I think he's injured or something like that, and sick. So, it's just obviously it's unfortunate. We love Dave to be out there, but he's not able to go. So, next man up. Yeah.
Thanks, Amari. Thank you, Amari.
Joel, I saw that contraption you had on your right elbow yesterday.
Yep.
What's going on?
Just elbow got a little bit nicked up in the game, so I'm just trying to protect it right now in practice. Part of playing in your 11th year, you get some bumps and bruises that, might not have happened earlier in your career. But, yeah, I'm just trying to protect it right now and filling out some braces, see how it works out.
So are you going to have to wear that in the game?
I don't know yet. I'm kind of – I wear a brace anyway, but I'm just trying to fill it out, see which one I'm most comfortable with.
Pass rush that the Jaguars offer with obviously the three guys that you know.
Yeah, no, they're very good. They're very talented. Miami did a good job of getting the ball out. They still had a few sacks, but they were getting the ball out pretty quick in their last game. But we played them last year with a couple of those guys, and we know they're aggressive. They have power rushers on the edge, and the inside they have big guys that are going to push the pocket, work an edge late. So it's a talented group. It's another challenge. I think every week in the NFL you go and you're like, man, this team has good pass rush. But especially with these guys, they have a bunch of high picks, a bunch of high-paid players. So it'll be another challenge for us.
So you guys had, I think it was 5 pre-snap penalties, and it just really seemed to kind of, especially in that first half, just set you guys behind the change. How correctable is that stuff, and just what type of focus this week has there been on it?
Yeah, I think it's very correctable. That was frustrating because you don't want to put yourself behind the chain, especially a team like Dallas. Like 1st and 15, 2nd and 15 are just not the positions you want to be in. We had way too many of those. And those are correctable, snap count, alignment issues, all types of things like that, formations. You could fix those things, and that's been a huge emphasis. It's always an emphasis, but when you have 5 of them, you want to try and correct those. And if we can stay in front of the sticks and have 3rd and 5 instead of 3rd and 12, you have a lot better chance to convert those.
Joel, I know there were extenuating circumstances, but I think maybe only ran the ball a handful of times in that first half. How much of that do you think was the circumstances, or just how the offense is going to kind of play out this year?
I think it was circumstances. It's hard to be like, hey, let's run the ball. It's 2nd and 15 or 1st and 15, and I think we had a first down on the first drive maybe, or we almost did, and then we got a penalty, and then we just never got a first down, so like you couldn't get into a rhythm on the offense. I think it was more circumstantial in the game than what we're going to see for the year, but it's going to be game to game. I know we have the weapons, so we want to pass the ball, but I think as a line we want to establish the run and try and wear on some guys as well.
So those pre-snap penalties on the road, does it complicate the effort?
Yeah, we're going to have some silent count. I know it's their home opener, so they're going to be loud and they're going to be anxious. They got a good defense. We just have to focus on it. Like every play, it's a new play. You got to, we can't put ourselves behind the chains like that. So it's a big focus this week, but it's going to be a challenge. At home it was disappointing. On the road we have to try and limit it, as well.
With the pre-snap penalties, and just like the alignment this year, does that just take like an extra conversation for you guys when you're getting up the line? Like, how do you kind of...
Yeah, I think the tackles have to be very. We've watched a lot of tackles in the league. Like they look over almost like a receiver to see if they're on the ball or off the ball. They're pointing out there to try and check that out. So it's just a focus. Put it into your routine every play. Just like, hey, am I on? And usually if they give you a thumbs up, they're not going to throw the flag eventually. I know it wasn't all just linemen. We had some receivers on and off. So those things happen too. But it's definitely a focus, and you got to put it into your tool bag and just kind of add that to your repertoire.
You mentioned it can be game to game how you guys run the ball. It seems like that didn't used to be that when you guys weren't going to run the ball. That's who you were. What do you think has changed over time to...
Yeah, I think it's a passing league. You see teams that win, a lot of games, throw the ball when they have to, and it's not that we don't want to run the ball, but there's sometimes on 1st and 10 when you have the ability to pass the ball and get chunks, and then you can run the ball later in the game. I think it's just a different attack. We're a lot more gun based than we have been in the past, so that adds to it as well. But I don't think there's a philosophy shift of like we need 60% pass or 70% pass. I think it's just what the defense given you, and we'll kind of play it by ear.
When Deshaun's getting hit 17 times in a game, what has to happen to stop that from happening again and becoming a regular occurrence?
Yeah, we got to block better first off. I think that's the number one thing. I think everybody had a few plays where it's like you can't let your guy hit him like that, and that's the main thing from the O-line perspective. That's really what we can control. I know they're talking about playing on time and the routes and all that type of stuff, but as an O-lineman, you just got to block for as long as you can, because you don't know what's going to happen back there. You don't know what the routes are doing. You don't know how plays are developing. So for us, we just have to block better.
Conklin wasn't able to go after one day on the field. Do you see it progressing?
Yeah, we had a practice yesterday. I know he practiced some last week. You got to think the guy hasn't played football in a year, so it takes some time to ramp up and make sure his body's feeling good. Because if you go out there and you got to play 70, however many plays we played, 78 plays, like that's a big jump. So they're working through it. I know the tackles are working through it, and they're all trying to get on the field. And we'll see who's out there.
The next step with him is getting to his team periods and practice.
Yeah, he's done some team periods too, so I think that's part of it. But he's working through it. I don't know the specifics of the timeline or how he feels, but I know everybody wants to be out there, and they're really, really trying to work for it.
Bubba made a point of saying he thought the effort needed to be better than it was against the Cowboys. What did you think about that?
Who said that? Sorry.
Bubba.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think if you watch the tape, I think in the second half there's a few times. I mean, even earlier in the game, like I was trying to talk about the energy we had, as a group, and I do feel like you got to, even if we're down a little bit, like get that first down, get the momentum going, get it back on our side. And that's something we can all work on. If it's conditioning or energy, like you have to put it all out there when you get on the game day. So I think we can always play with better energy. I think that was a big point too. Like, hey, what can we control? Like sometimes you don't make a block, but can you play as hard as you are? Can you finish the play? Can you strain to the whistle? And so that's everybody looking in the mirror and being like, hey, what can I do to be better at that?
Joel, I know you talked about the pass rush, but when you look at the run defense as well, what have you guys focused on? Just what they present?
Yeah, they're pretty multiple. I mean, Miami's kind of they run a different scheme. Like, they have some different things, but we're really working through it right now. But they have good players, on all levels. Their linebackers make a lot of tackles for them. Their safeties help in the run game. So it's a challenge. It's a little bit multiple on their fronts. They were more of a 3-4 team last year. They've kind of converted to a 4-down front, but in base, they'll bring one of their linebackers on the ball, so it's almost like a 3-down as well. And so you have different looks, but when you go in the nickel, they're going to be a 4-down defense and have a nickel on the field. And that's going to be a challenge for us. It's really we got to execute our blocks. And I thought when we did run the ball last week, there was some positive stuff. I saw some positive stuff, but we just have to build on that and keep growing as a team.
What's different about succeeding in a run game under center versus in the game?
Some angles, if the running back's right behind the quarterback or to the side, things of that nature. It's a little bit different, we're maybe hands not in the dirt as much. We might be in more of a 2-point stance, so it's just different little things like that.
I know week 1 gets maybe blown out of proportion. So how confident are you that you guys have figured out starting as soon as Sunday in Jacksonville?
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for the Jags. Like they're a good team. We played them last year. It was a tough game, and it sucks. We laid an egg for sure. I think everybody's disappointed in that, but I think Coach Stefanski has proven track record of bouncing back because we stayed focused on the goal, and that's going 1-0 this week any way we can. So the guys are locked in, the guys are focused, and I expect a much better effort.
Joel, you talk so much about how offensive line so much communication and all that. We didn't get those reps in preseason. Can you quantify, like, even though the game didn't go your way on Sunday, how valuable it was just to get everybody out there and get them through a game and kind of get that experience under your belt?
Yeah, it was big. I think you see a lot of teams that, play in the preseason or not play in the preseason. But I know late in the game we were down by a bunch, but I was telling the line, like, hey, we got to use these reps to try and get as in sync as possible. So I think it was good to get a whole game. Obviously, it didn't go our way, and we don't want to see Deshaun get hit like that towards the end of the game. But besides that, it was good to get one game under your belt, and now we got to build on that.
You're right in that under Stefanski, you bounce back from losses immediately.
Yeah.
What is it about him that gets you guys to do that?
Well, he doesn't ride the roller coaster. I know everybody else is riding the roller coaster, but he's the same guy. He's focused. He has one mission this week, and that's go 1-0, however possible. No matter who's out there, it's go 1-0, and that's what he focused on. He doesn't hear the outside noise. And that's what you look for in your leader.
Thanks, Joel.
Thanks.